Hi, I'm Rochelle Bradley, and this is my friend, Dawn.
Hello. Dawn Paul here from dmpaul.com.
Yay! And she is known as the Gnome Lady, as you could tell from things around us. And I got her a little present, and I'm sure she's
Ooh, I wonder if it's a gnome.
dying to open it. You're going to be surprised. Right, I already told you who it was, so.
Oh, very cute.
It's made by a Scandinavian artist.
Aw,
That's a Scandinavian gnome.
very cute. He's a gonk because he doesn't have eyes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Add to your collection.
Yes, I will.
So how did you begin your creative journey? Because it's much more than writing.
So I was actually born into a creative family, which I thought was normal my whole life. Up until just a couple years ago, I realized it's not. So I started painting with my grandma when I was 8, I think, and my aunts and cousins, and they all do creative things: quilting, crocheting, knitting. And I've been a crocheter knitter for about 15 years now. My grandma taught me when I was 8, but then I set it aside, so yeah.
And the writing, when did that?
Well,
You kind
so
of fell into that?
I think that was just an itch that I had. I'm Christian, so I think God put that on me several years ago. And I went back to school. I was a corporate travel agent when I met my husband, and then I went back to school and got my bachelor's degree in humanities, because humans, I like them. And I love studying culture and belief systems and things like that. So that was pretty awesome. And then while I was in school, I always loved reading, so I thought, well, I'm going to get my English literature degree too, because I would like to write. And on that journey, then I ended up taking a correspondence children's literature course through the Institute for Children's Literature. So my books are mostly children's books, middle grade.
But your first book was based on your journey.
Yes,
Spiritual
9 years
journey.
ago in September, God showed up in my life big time. And I grew up in a fundamental Christian environment, and as a lot of people do, I left it and dappled in a lot of different other kinds of beliefs and things like that. And then when I got married and had a baby, I went back to the church, and so we were still in a fundamental kind of environment.
Because that was comfortable.
Well, yeah, it was what I knew. Like the Bible, like when you get the word growing up as a foundation, it's just in there. You've got it. And, our society is based on biblical principle. In a philosophy class, most societies are based on the same types of rules. You can't kill each other. You don't steal from each other. You can't survive in a society like that. And, but then 9 years ago, God showed up in a prayer session. You can read about that in my first book, because as it went over the next couple years, he showed up again and again. And
But you knew to look for him then.
yes, that first. So it was funny because my husband was stationed in California for a 6-month training duty, and at the same time there was 3 other women who were Christians, and we met for lunch every Friday. We called them Wine Fridays, and we had at each other's house. We had wine, and we lunches. Each person would make it, and they were all Christian, but they all worshiped differently. And it was a summer, and I was reading through the New Testament again, because I thought, I've studied so many other religions and belief systems. I'm really going to get to know this Bible thing, right?
Right.
And so I was reading the New Testament and seeking God and seeking Jesus, and as it turned out, he showed up. He really, I got my Holy Spirit bumps going. And it was fun being with these women, because I was raised by a single mom, and she was very independent, and so I grew up being a very independent person. And even when I married my husband, I didn't say I was going to obey him. Like, we changed the vows because of, whatever, I was independent. And these women, that was the biggest thing that I remember about our lunches is they were always, submitting to their husbands, and I was like, submitting, that's terrible. You're a person. It's not fair. Yeah, we're a team. I'm not submitting. But I understand what that means now, and it doesn't mean lesser than. It just means it's still your choice,
right?
So yeah, God first, husband second. So
and
like,
what's the name of that? Your story.
So then
it's a testimony.
Yes, so then God tasked me with writing my testimony, and it's called "You Are Forgiven," because in that first prayer meeting where he showed up, that's what he told me. And I didn't realize that I had been struggling with that my whole life, but I had been. So, yeah.
That's the first. So you got your story, and then you started to get other little ideas, and then the children's books.
Well, okay, so as we traveled, I met different people, and when I was in California, I was also doing, because I was doing school and taking the literature classes, and I had already completed the children's literature class. I got involved at the library in a writer's group. And they introduced me to two things, the Snowball Method and NaNoWriMo. And I didn't do it, but I did meet a friend, writer, who we ended up going on the writing journey for a couple years together, just dreaming big. And then in 2015, so I was trying to write my testimony in, I think it was 2014, from January to March. And all of a sudden I got like force field around my computer and I couldn't finish it. And so I stepped away from it for a year and a half and started a crochet business. And I had an Etsy shop. I was starting to do pretty good selling internationally. And then God came back around and said, writing.
God's
so I'm
timing.
like, yeah. Yeah, it's been a true lesson over the last 4 or 5 years of walking in obedience to Him. So,
is that when I met you?
No,
this is predates Rochelle
yes.
Bradley.
Yes. And so that was in August of 2015 that I finished out my last few events at the end of the year, and I also built my new website and started back seriously writing, and
that was the poetry in your blog.
Yes, that's the blog I have now, dmpaul.com. And for 3 years on that, I posted regularly poetry and short stories. And so there's a lot of free content on there if you like to read and you just want to go back through the blog.
And she has an awesome sense of humor. So some of her poems I've seen,
Thank you.
like the little pizza one, that was cute.
It's my favorite. It's a Shakespearean sonnet dedicated ode to pizza.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, it is. It's my favorite poem.
But she has a bunch that they're quirky and artsy, just like she is.
Yeah.
So you'll enjoy them if you want to check her out on her blog and read her poems and stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, so then God, in December timeframe, I went ahead and finished the testimony in January, I guess. And then I published it on February 19th of 2016. And I was like, I have a book! It's a real book! It's a book I can hold in my hands because I like to read books, not ebooks.
Yes. Physical copy and that smell of the paper.
No, I don't notice that.
You don't notice that? Oh.
No, what I do notice is how heavy books can get. Because
Yes.
as a military spouse, we had limited amount of weight to move every time. And my husband would always make me get rid of 6 or 8 books.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's like divorcing your children.
Yeah, when we moved into our last house, we thought it was our retirement house and we weren't going to be moving. And so he allowed me to buy as many books as I want. Big mistake. Yeah, so I wrote the testimony and finished that. And then that November, before I released it, was my first attempt at NaNoWriMo. And I had on a different blog that I had, my first blog. You know, they say that writers all have their first manuscript has to go in the trash can.
Right.
Everyone does. And I did it. It was a 26 episode mystery, and it was episodic. So it wasn't plotted properly in the beginning, and it just took on a life of its own. I wrangled it all back in. I ran it all back after I published my first couple books. I thought, maybe I can fix this. No, there's no fixing it. There's too many rabbit trails. The core of it is pretty good, though. The core idea.
Well, you could rewrite it using the core. If
But
you
I
ever
was
get,
I was pantsing that, and when you
yes.
pants an episodic series, you can't, because where's the end? Like a lot of people, they write the ending before the beginning, and you gotta have the plot down. I think
Yeah.
that's my personal opinion.
Well, I'm a pantser, so.
So yeah, I published that in February, and then God put it on my heart to start this gnome series, and I had a little bit of it down, not very much. Like
This is-
basically the character.
Middle grade.
Yes, middle grade for 7 to 12-year-olds. They're novels. They're about 20 to 24,000 words each, and so NaNoWriMo in 2016 is when October 2016 when we met, and then I wrote that. I thought I can try NaNoWriMo again, and if I don't win, it's not a big deal.
And the average length for a middle grade novel is what?
Like anywhere from like 18,000 to 40,000. Harry Potter is a middle grade novel.
Really?
I think that one has like 60,000.
But you wrote 4 in one nano.
I did. I wrote the whole series. Yeah. And as it turned out, the way that I published them, it was really nice. Like that NaNoWriMo, I wrote 52,406 words.
You remembers exactly.
Actually, that's not true. I wrote that in 2015. The first one I did, the first Nano was in 2015, and I didn't know you then.
Okay, so you were the second series. Okay.
Yes, I wrote it. I wrote it in 2016. Yeah. I streamed it. Yeah. Like I remember sitting at my dining room table. Yes, I did it was 2016, and I do remember meeting you because I thought maybe I should go out and meet some of these people, and then I was too scared to.
Well, the Antioch Writers Group had that. They have every once in a while. I think it's once a month at Barnes and Noble in Dayton, not Barnes and Noble,
No, Books and Company.
Books and Company.
And Beaver Creek at the Green.
Yes, they have a writing seminar type thing. It's free to the public.
They did.
And every November, usually they have something regarding NaNoWriMo. And basically, I went there with Sarah, another ML, and we did basically what is Nano, how you succeed at Nano, different types of ways for tricks and tips on writing, and did we do a write-in? I can't even remember, but usually, well, it probably wasn't, was it November?
No, it was October.
It was October, so
Yeah.
yeah, we wouldn't have been writing.
Like prepping up for
Yeah.
NaNoWriMo.
And then we answered questions and stuff. But that's what I remember, you came in and you approached me, so you weren't too terribly shy.
It was after people had left,
Well,
kind of.
yeah, but,
But I was really curious about it
and the rest is history.
because I'd been hearing about it. So yeah, I thought I would try it, and if I won, I would win. And I wrote 52,406 words, and I was like, whoa, I won. And then the next year, so then I spent the next, let's see, that was November 2016. So I think I released the first book in April 30th of 17.
So you spent time editing.
Anyway, I spent one NaNoWriMo, and I won that, and then I won the next one as well, and I wrote the next 4 books in the series. But during that, it was 2015, because I released the testimony book in February, and then God was like, I had written the story about Christian Hamta, and I remember spending this spring and summer and fall working on illustrating, because God kind of made me illustrate the books. And I thought, if I'm going to put out a middle grade novel, it has to have an illustration for every chapter. Well, then I found out later that you don't put an illustration in every chapter. Hence, the picture book was born.
Yeah.
The first picture book I did is an abbreviated story of the first novel.
Right. It's like a companion for like a
That
younger
one-
sibling or something.
It's the same story, but it's a lot less detailed, of course, for 3 to 8-year-olds. And at the same time, I really enjoyed making that, so I also put out an activity and coloring book to go with the series, which has a lot of like dot-to-dots and coloring pages and games and fun facts about the world of Christian Hamta. Christian Tomta is my main character. So with the first novel, I released the coloring activity book and the picture book as well. 6 months later, I put out book 2. 6 months later, I put out book 3. And then 6 months later, I put out book 4. And in 2017, NaNoWriMo, I wrote the next 4 in the series. But instead of pantsing that one, I plotted it out. And so that was 4 books. And those are really fun. They're not published yet. And I also have a side book off of the series that's not... Well, it wasn't supposed to be the main characters, but I've been struggling with it because the main characters keep trying to take over. In the first book, Christian, the gnome has the books are about a gnome who has to take on a rite of passage journey in gnome culture, at least in my world, and it takes place in the Ohio Valley and or the Miami Valley, the Ohio neighborhood.
Yeah. In Ohio, in
Yeah.
the Miami Valley.
Yeah. Yes. And Christian he's 12 turning 13 and he's like to me what a typical boy is. Gets annoyed at his little sister. He is, he's messy room and he doesn't like to listen to his parents and but he's also excited to grow up so fast and he wants more responsibility and his dream is to become a human guardian. And so
But they have different jobs as adults.
yes. Well, in my stories, gnomes come with 3 magical giftings. One is to turn into a statue because the number 1 law of gnome culture is to not be seen alive by humans.
Okay, that explains all those guard gnomes you see.
Yes. They also have the ability to resize inanimate objects. And that can be good and it can be troublesome.
Can they make them bigger as well?
Yes.
So too big and all the way down to itty bitty.
Yes. And there is a character in one of the books who likes to collect things and she ends up getting kind of a hoarder house.
Uh-oh.
I don't know that I portrayed that, but in my head that's what it looks like. And then their third magical gifting is whatever they're born with, and that is dependent upon what tulip flower they fell out of. Because that's, in my world, that's how gnomes are born, is
Okay.
from tulip flowers. And Christian doesn't know what his magical gifting is because the gnome on duty fell asleep when he was born, and they found him on the ground.
So he was under all of them and they
Yes,
killed him.
yes. His father has an idea of what it might be, but he never voices that to Christian.
So why don't you explain a little bit or list a few of these talents that these gnomes are born with.
Mama is Mama Tomta, Christian Tomta. His mother is she's a singer,
Okay.
and I think she might be a painter too.
Okay.
I have to get my Bible out. It's been a few years. Papa has like the super strength, and he carries a hammer.
Okay.
And Magda, his little sister, we don't know yet. His uncle Rupert is he's like a historian. So he's
gifted with knowledge or history.
I can't remember. Winnie, the next door neighbor, she is a sage. So when she comes of age, she gets downloaded all of the wisdom of the ages of gnome culture. And there's only a few of them in the whole.
So that's a fairly rare gift.
Yes, yeah.
And then I know Christian's gift, so we won't spoil it. But
yeah.
is that a rare one as well?
I think so, because I think the gifts are grouped by color, because that's what color hats they get.
Ah.
And so, like, if it's a mental gift, they have one color. If it's
Physical.
if it's, yeah, well, like, Papa's hat is orange. Mama's hat, artisans are red-hatted.
Okay.
Okay. And, yeah, so.
But in order to get your little pointy hat that you see the gnomes wearing, he has to...
We call that a conical.
Okay. In order to get a conical,
Yeah.
he has to not do this mission.
Yes, he has to take on this mission, and then he will, if he succeeds, he will earn his mystical shoes and conical.
And that is a sign that he is an adult. No.
Yes, he at that point he can be gifted or become. Well, he'll begin his training to become the human guardian.
Okay.
And the hat and the shoes, the mystical, they allow him to. It's like a fourth gifting, really. They allow him to go in and out of the kind of spirit realm, which is called Geist in my books. And that way they can. It's like I forget
Transportation
the
or
word.
transporting.
Yeah, transporting from one location to another.
Teleporting.
Location. Kind of.
But with your shoes.
Yeah.
It's like Dorothy.
The spirit realm is active, so.
So your idea, how does it play into your faith? How does Christian talk?
So they're though they're fantasy books, they are Christian allegory, like Narnia and Alice in Wonderland. So I'm trying to follow the footsteps of Lewis Carroll and Tolkien and C.S. Lewis.
All right.
Writing classics. There's not much in there that will date them.
Okay.
I mean, maybe to the 20th century or 21st century. But I'd like them to last for years. And
Yes. The reason why you chose to write them stems from your childhood. Well, a reason why you wanted to get them into libraries.
Yes. So
I thought that was
being raised by a single mom.
awesome.
We didn't have a lot of money, and so buying books wasn't really a thing. So I get to go to the library a lot as a kid. And, just growing up, I had a lot of stuff. Kids go through a lot of stuff, and adults, they don't always pay attention to what the kids are going through. And it was an escape. I mean, my parents were divorced, so I was flipping houses every other weekend, and it was awesome to be able to take these adventure rides in the books. And I wanted my books to be in the library so that, maybe other kids who struggling with what's going on in their world, so that they could escape too.
I know you're very excited because the local library, which is in Ohio, they bought like 10 copies or something.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And the day that I found out that they bought the copies, I cried.
Aww.
I cried so hard.
I remember that you were so excited though, because that was like a dream come true for you.
It was. My husband came home and he's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "My book is a library book."
That's so awesome.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
And I know that you are in a group of writers at the library, so you knew them too, but it was just nice that it's local. You can get them.
The Greene County Library System actually has 9 libraries, so you can get it in all 9 libraries.
But you can get it actually in all of Ohio if you search for it.
Oh.
Did you not know that?
I did not know that.
No, So you go to your local library and you ask the librarian for Gnomeling.
Yes.
Or you request it because the libraries some of them are closed right now. Yeah. You can request it and then it will come from her local library to your local library, and you can get it if you live in Ohio. Now, is it in any other states? Do you know?
Yes, it's in Michigan. It's in Minnesota.
Okay. So if you live there and you want a physical copy from your library, ask for Don Paul's Gnomeling.
Yeah. Don M. Paul.
Yeah, because they're...
You have to include the M because there's other Don Pauls that are writers and dentists and things.
So you had to add that middle initial.
Yes. So that's why my website is DM Paul.
Right.
Which actually, I think that was God guided too. Yes, my website is called, I have it titled A Heart in Art. And I felt like, art is actually in the word heart. And then so is he with a capital H. So at least on my website it is. And so it was really funny because God downloaded my signature and logo, which is my initials. And it's in the shape of a heart. And it's a backwards D and a forward P. And then I put 2 lines in for the M in the middle. And that is signed on every piece of work that I make.
Awesome.
God kind of forced me into the illustrating part of it. I didn't have the money to pay for an illustrator. And so being creative my whole life, I went ahead and just drew. I mean, I've always drawn and painted for myself. Didn't have the confidence to do it for other people.
It's show and tell time.
So the first book, called You Are Forgiven, is here. And this is actually in the library at Bethany Village.
Okay.
So that's kind of fun. And then here's the 4-book series of the middle grade novels. We have Gnomeling Goes Home, Gnomeling, this one. Gnomeling Journeys to Yodaberg. That's Yodaberg with a J. And then Gnomeling Treks the Midnight Forest is the last one in that series. And here's the picture book. It's called Meet Christian Tamta. And this is the companion activity and coloring book. So, yes. Then after I released all of these books last October, I released a new picture book not related to the world of Christian Tamta, and it's called Blue Sky, White Cloud. And this is a fun book because if you remember the game in the car when you drive around as a kid looking at clouds, trying to determine what they were, that's what this is.
I just played that with my 16-year-old son driving up to Michigan.
Yeah?
He's like,
Yeah.
that one looks like a such and such, and I'm like, I don't think so.
And this is kind of this is a poem book too. It's in verse, so I love this one. And I got one of my friends contacted me. Her nephew, he just loves it. It's his favorite book, so it makes me very happy.
Come on a fun adventure to imagine what you see in the clouds. I love the picture.
Thank you.
Because I love clouds anyway, and it is very cute. You guys, no small children.
That one is available on Amazon.
Yeah,
I didn't
so-
do a lot of advertising with that one, so.
Yeah, it's a fun gift for someone. What's next?
Well, this art trip journey that God has me on has got me, for the last year and a half, I've been focusing on skill building, the art side of things. I still have, around 20 projects, book projects. So when I feel like he impresses on me to go back to books, I'll be publishing books again. But in the meantime, I'm working on a giant series of gnome comics. It's called The Big Comic Gnome Show. This one, that one up there. It's based on the theory that you are being, not a doing. So that one's called, it's the message behind that one is Be Hope. But I think that they're not going to be named that. I think they're going to be named, he's Garfunkel.
Here's Garfunkel.
Yeah, Garfunkel. And then this one is, the message here is Be Still. But his name is Axel.
Aw.
So these are the first two. So I'm not sure if I'm going to name them by the gnome names or by the bee names. So yeah, that's up for debate. We're talking about that, me and the Lord.
So the art thing,
So I'm painting.
yes.
The
You're doing
watercolor.
all medias, looks like.
I do, no, I don't paint oil.
Okay.
I do watercolor and ink, and I do acrylic.
The Wonder Dog strikes again.
Sumi the Wonder Dog loves Rochelle Bradley, and when she comes over,
She always wants my
Sumi the
autograph.
Wonder Dog does not obey Mom very well, and she gets crazy. She's like, it's a party time now.
every time I try to do something, yeah, she wants to play.
She does. She wants to jump and holler and yeah.
Come in.
Okay.
So, what would be your something that you learned, some kind of advice for new artists or new writers?
So a
New
couple
creatives.
things. Jonathan Mayberry at an author event one time told me the best book is a finished book.
So just write the book.
Just write the book, and that's kind of what NaNoWriMo stands for too.
Right.
I mean, as a theory. I think it was Stephen King that said, the first draft is crap, and I agree with that too. I agree. I think it's really important to read a lot. Stephen King said that, and I think other authors have also said that. But a few years ago, someone told me to read 100 books in any genre that you want to write in.
Oh.
And I think that's really good advice.
Yeah, because you could
You get a
flow.
feel for the language, because writing for kids like the age group that I write for, you write more simply, but you're not talking down to them. You don't, there's not like there's still a good story there, you know, because kids are smart. They
Right.
can figure things out. Oh, that's another good piece of advice. Trust your reader. Don't tell them everything. Let them figure things out for themselves.
Yes. And what about for anything specific for children writers?
Well, it would be that. It would be don't talk down to children.
Okay.
You know, it would be writing. So I personally, my writing style fits very well for children's writing because I'm a simple person. Like my paintings are simple, my writing is simple. I don't like a lot of people when they write superfluously, so too much, and then they have to cut everything back. My problem is the opposite, where I write directly what it is, and then I have to like flesh
Flip
it
it
out. Yeah. Yeah. So with kids' books, I mean, really know if you're going to be a children's writer, then really learn, you know, word counts, language issues, because, you know, you want to make sure that the kids are understanding what you're writing. Often I see with children's books, people are writing low word counts, but the cognitive value is way higher than the kids' reading level. So, which if you get a program like, you have one.
Per writing age is what I use.
Yeah, where you can plug your paragraphs or pages into it, and it'll tell you like the age level for writing, or Hemingway, mine is called,
Okay.
and it'll give you like adverbs and does and
Yeah.
you know.
Overused words and
Yes.
whatnot as well. So that's very convenient.
Yeah.
You are the first person who I've interviewed who has mentioned those kind of helping tools for writers. And there are quite a few of them out there. There are some that are free, which you can just plop, like you said, a paragraph or two. But then there are some that you have to buy to get the whole manuscript in. So, I mean, to test them out.
Mine, the one I'm using, it's you can put a whole chapter in at a time. It was like $10,
Okay.
and it's good forever. You know,
Oh,
as
2
long
months. Once, like one.
once.
Oh.
Yeah, and then you can use it for as long as your computer's active.
Yeah, the one I use is called Pro Writing Aid, and I love it because it interacts, or it's symbiotic with Scrivener.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to go back and like change documents and upload and download and re-upload and download once I've edited. They work in conjunction with each other, so that's really ease for me. So it's worth the money when I go to edit for that. Are there any groups for the children's writers that you would like recommend?
Yes, I'm a member of the Society for Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. It's a annual membership program, and it's international, and they put out I think it's a monthly newsletter. It used to be monthly. It might be quarterly now. I'm not sure how often
Do they
actually get
have
it.
craft classes and
There are.
meet groups and things like
Yes, of course, right now we're all meeting on Zoom.
that? Right.
But yeah, they have, like, our regional group has usually 2 to 4 meetings a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because one meets in Columbus, one meets in Cincinnati,
Oh.
and then they'll have special. So once a
It's like
quarter,
a
they have an
Ohio?
illustrator group.
All of Ohio? Or
Our group is called Central South,
Oh, okay.
SCBWI, and then there's, you know, Northern Ohio as well.
Okay.
But if you go on it's called SCBWI website. I think it's .org. If you join it, there's like you can go into other regions' website like pages on there, and you can learn things. You can take. They have 2 conferences a year. You can go to. You can take like classes, online classes from people out in LA or you know whatever. So there's
It's a networking opportunity.
Yes,
as well.
but also as a children's writer, there's so much information. I also really, really like the Highlights Foundation. I went to a conference out there in Pennsylvania, and you know, Highlights are the magazines that I grew up with as a kid. They're fun, like stories and games and puzzles and things. So
Oh yeah, I remember sitting
those are my 2 favorite.
in the doctor's office, and I'd always like to do find the little search. You know, like you search for the weird
Yes.
things. You know, it would be like something like a snail in the guy's ear, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember those.
Yeah.
So they have a
Like
conference
kind of like
too.
the I Spy books now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they have conferences every several times a month.
Oh really? Of course they'd be online now.
And I think their website is highlightsfoundation.com.
Okay.
I think.
Well, you just search it and you'll find
Yeah,
it.
you will. Yeah.
And I'll probably put it down below as well, or on the screen. So.
Yeah. On Facebook, I think it's a free group, and it's called Info 411.
Okay.
And
And that's a writing group.
There's a lot of it's about children's books, but there's a lot of industry professionals in that group.
Ah.
So if you ask a question,
You'll probably actually get legit answers.
yeah, it's real good.
That's good. That's good to know. So where can everybody find you?
dmpaul.com is my website. I'm on Instagram and Facebook most of the time, but I'm on pretty much everything. Tumblr. I do have a YouTube channel. I'm taking a break from it right now. I've had some health issues over the summer, and so probably resume that back in the fall. But that is where I do a lot of videos about process, or my painting process, or ATC reveals, which are art trading cards.
Yeah, I was going to tell you to mention those when you brought up the
Yeah.
YouTube channel, because that's
They're-
really cool.
They're 2.5 by 3.5 inches. I have a group on Facebook that I'm one of the admins for, and we do art trading card swaps, about 2 per quarter, and they're really fun.
So do you have to be a member of the group to be able to do that? Swap your
Yes.
art?
Yeah, and that, if you want to join that, that's called Art Swaps for Nice People.
No mean people allowed.
Yeah. I mean, they have other swaps in there too once in a while, but mostly what I'm involved
So the mean people are allowed to swap then.
No, all the people in there have to be nice. That's the rule.
You get booted.
But the art trading cards are a specific size. They're like baseball or
Oh, okay.
basketball, hockey cards that,
Do they have to be a certain medium, or can you do whatever?
No, you can do, well, it depends on the swap, because we've had some that are like, you have to mail them to people, so you don't want to put metal buttons and things on them that are going to be
Yeah.
really heavy,
right.
because we have had that.
So no bricks.
Or beads, glass beads, things like that. So you can do mixed media or painting, or we've had some quilted ones which are so cool. Yeah.
Like actual fabric?
Yes.
Neat.
Yes. After we get off here, I'll show you my album.
Okay.
I have them in an album.
So how many do you think you have?
Ooh. Let's see. There's about, I don't know. There's 9 per page. I'm thinking, I've been doing the swaps for a year now.
Oh wow, so you got a good
And
collection
we
going.
usually have I think the least, I'm in one right now that's 6 people. That's the least I think I've been in. Maybe 5. And then usually I've gone up to, I think, 15 people in a swap.
So do you have, do they have themes like summer?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yes, that's the only 2 rules usually, is that they have to be this exact size and they have a theme.
Okay.
Like right now I'm doing one called Dog Days of Summer, and my style is I really like to do a lot of comic fantasy art, and so mine are comic dogs doing different summer things. They're really cute. I love them. I'm also in one that's called Do Not Worry, and it's based on Matthew 6:25 through 30. And so I painted some watercolor birds, because I think the verse talks about how, it's do not worry, because if God can take care of the birds,
The sparrow.
He'll take care of us. But for some reason, when I was talking to Holy Spirit about it, it was like, God dressed these birds in really fancy clothes. And so all my birds are watercolored, really bright colors. So that's fun.
Yeah.
They're really fun. They're not, it's not, there's a lot of people in there that are not Christian, so,
Well, yeah, if you pick your theme or whatever.
Yeah, you get in the group, and then when you see something come up, you can sign up to be in the swap, and then you make your 10 or 15 cards, and then you mail them out, and with a self-addressed pre-stamped envelope, so that the host just puts your cards in your envelope and sends them
Oh,
off.
so you mail them to the host, and then
Yeah, then everybody
She
mails
collects
them
them
to the
all.
host. Yeah, and then you have 12 or 15, and then the host divides them up so that when they go back out in the mail, you get these 12 or 15 different
so you don't have to
pieces
worry
of
about
art.
them coming individually.
And then they're, each one is its own personal piece of art.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're all we did have one time, I had a lady who, she did a lithograph, I think it's called lithograph printing.
Yeah.
And so she carved her print stamp, and then she stamped it the cards different colors, but
Oh.
it was still handmade because she made
Right.
the
Lithographs
process.
are cool.
Yeah.
It's really talented because you have
So
to,
they
it's
look
like
like
working in the negative.
prints, but they were
Yeah, that's hard. I've done lithograph when I was
Yeah.
in art school, and it's hard
Mm-hmm.
to do those.
So those are super fun. I think I need to kind of take a break from those for a little bit. 'Cause,
Focus on you.
I get so no. I do a weekly kind of skill building lesson with one of my friends who's a fantasy artist as well, and I do the ATC cards, and then that, because I'm also trying to sketch daily, it gets me distracted from doing the the big comic gnome show and the things that are meaningful to me. But
So how many are you gonna have total?
I think there's around 10,
Okay.
but we'll see.
So I have to-
I'm working on 3 right.
You guys have
third
any
one
good
right
name
now.
for the big gnomes?
Yeah, yes.
Comment below.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And check out her website, and also check out her videos and her blog. You get to know Dawn.
Yeah, get to know me and be kind.
Yes. Be kind. See you later.
Bye. Don't delete this one.
Ooh, did I start it?
Just want excuses to come and do interviews all the time. What year is it now? 18, 19,
20.
17.
You can't forget 20. All right.
In the studio today with us is Sumi the Wonder Dog.
yes. And
She wants to be interviewed too.
That's right.